So, this is the end of 2017, my first year doing this sort of thing on YouTube. I ended up uploading roughly 80 videos this year, which required quite a lot of brainstorming and creativity on my part. And sometimes I write down ideas and decide to scrap them later for various reasons, but midway through the year I realized that I was generating enough scrap content that while they wouldn't work in the intended videos originally conceived, they would make for a great compilation video at the end of the year. I know I chose a weird thumbnail, combining Reader Rabbit and that Pepe the Frog meme, but that's not meant to be clickbait, that really almost happened. So we'll get started right now with that particular abortion. I dropped quite a few ideas out of Reader Rabbit's Preschool, mostly because they weren't all that funny, and also later due to me explicitly deciding to keep the humor and language in that particular video relatively clean. And I shit you not, one idea I had was to have Pepe the Frog make not one, but two different appearances in that video. I actually made animation test videos for both of these to see how they would turn out. In fact, I think those test renderings were what inspired me to do this deleted scenes video at the end of the year, since I still had them lying around after removing those bits from the script. So we'll watch one of them first, and this one required a bit of dialogue on my part that I never recorded, so I'll do that real quick here.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this game.
Find
But
any
what if
number that you like.
one of these frogs is like the preschool version of Pepe the Frog, back when he had a social life, being a member of the counting club with other young frogs his own age? I bet he misses those simpler, more innocent times compared to his life now.
Come on, dance and sing with my forest friends and me.
And you can count on me, and I can count on you.
You'll learn to use your numbers in everything you do.
Well, it's just 1, 2, 3, and then you're on your way. You can be a member of the counting club today.
Why did I want to include Pepe in this? Well, it was simply because the frogs in the counting club vaguely reminded me of him, so therefore it would be funny to shoehorn this meme into the video, right? Well, maybe there could have been a way of making it work, where showing his facial expressions progressing from happy innocence to meme stardom sadness would have been funny, but the original idea for including Pepe just felt forced after I thought about it for a little longer, and then I decided later on to just make this a clean video altogether, which was the final factor for removing Pepe from the script and therefore the video, because mentioning that something could be a racist hate symbol doesn't seem to fit well with games for preschoolers. And then there was a second test video I made that featured Pepe. So this shorter video where you can see his face and a tomato in the ABC diner, I haven't the slightest idea where I came up with that one. That's just totally random and doesn't fit in with anything else. There isn't even an attempt at making a joke there. The only positive thing I can say about it is that it doesn't feel as forced as Pepe making an appearance in the counting club, in the sense that the script did originally call for making sure that no reference was made acknowledging the existence of Pepe's face showing up in the tomato. It was just going to be a semi-hidden thing, I guess. And yeah, it's kind of hypocritical to talk about this while I put more shoe into an ABC diner sequence in this game anyways, but whatever, I don't know. I removed this one just because I was sort of trying the trend towards removing lewd jokes from the video. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I could have included this one anyways, but I don't know.
Hey, come and get it! Banana. Nut. Surprise! Yo! Woof.
One idea was to show a cropped image of one of the aliens in the pattern parade with the Lamau caption on it, or LMAO, however you say it out loud. If you've seen that meme that's usually accompanied by an image of an alien, then you can already sort of tell what I was going for here. But the only idea I had for it being used was to simply flash it on the screen for a split second after Ed the dog says, "Hey!" during one of his lines.
Hey!
It's not the worst attempt at humor ever, but at the same time, it, I don't know, felt a bit forced again. I don't know. The real reason, though, I dropped this particular idea was simply because I decided to switch things up and show off the ABC Diner first in the video, even though I played and recorded it last among the main 4 activities. And the reason I switched it around to be the first game was simply to open up with the strongest material I thought I had for this episode, which was especially important with this particular video since I thought it was unlikely to appeal to as many people. Although it took off and now has nearly 300 views as of this recording, so who knew? But if I showed ABC Diner before you see any of the aliens in the pattern parade and you saw that image flash by, you wouldn't even know that the alien you barely had enough time to even look at came from a different part of the game, so primarily it just didn't seem to work anymore, didn't make any more sense after I rearranged the presentation order of the various different games of Reader Rabbit's Preschool. Just one other thing you gotta keep in mind when you do editing, I suppose. There's more I could have included about Reader Rabbit, but by the time I really looked into it, I was too far into editing and sort of out of time, since I wanted to have this finished and uploaded before Christmas, and certainly before this deleted scenes video. Basically, there were 3 versions of this game as far as I know, and I played the second version. I think this is a screenshot of the first version, perhaps? Reader Rabbit looks like one of those animatronic puppet things from a Five Nights at Freddy's game. And I mentioned I played the second version of the game, but the main difference between that and the third version is the main menu, which now seems to be a full-fledged carnival with additional content, such as Mouse Match, which now means there seems to be a 5th minigame as well. I mean, it's a matching game. I guess it's one of those things that tests your memory, where you're initially shown the cards and then you have to remember where the similar ones are, but I'm not totally sure. That's pretty much it. The other games are presumably the same, except now you're collecting carnival tickets instead of keys. And now I understand why this painting on the wall exists. And this image came up when I was searching for stuff on Google. There's no way that's real. There isn't much to this deleted scene from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, but it serves as a cautionary tale to check the source material if you're going to comment on it. There's a scene where Dumbledore is talking to Harry about the Mirror of Erratic, and Dumbledore says this line.
Dumbledore went on, adding ominously that if Harry ever came across it again, he would be prepared.
And I immediately start writing out a couple of sentences about how he never said that, he simply told Harry not to go looking for it again. However, I was drawing upon my memory of the scene from the movie at the time. Fortunately, it occurred to me later to check the text of the book too, just to be certain, and yeah, sure enough, Dumbledore said that line to Harry in the book, but not the movie. So whatever I wrote in response to Dumbledore supposedly never saying that line had to be removed because it turned out to simply not be true after all. And I'm glad I checked, I just wonder if similar mistakes may have gotten through unnoticed. Also, this was kind of a weird thing to have in my commentary anyways. Surely I'm not going to be so nitpicky that I criticize a game for improvising lines, right? I sure hope not, but yeah, that'd be another good reason to throw out a piece of script like that. It just sounds completely unnecessary and pedantic to make a comment like that. Before I decided to just fast forward through most of the exercises, I guess at one point I thought I would make a comparison between this sort of minigame and another smartphone game I have where you have to draw a circle as accurately as possible. I'm not sure why I wanted to make that comparison in the first place, but yeah, it's one of those simple games that's fun for a couple minutes, although I also have fun trying to get the lowest possible score as well. I got this animated GIF off of the Cutting Room Floor website where they had a section on the Prisoner of Azkaban for unused player animations. Now this particular one was called Harry Sneak Forward, and the description reads as a sneaking animation, pure swag. I thought about showing this in a loop while playing the first several seconds of the remix song from that "You shitposted in the wrong neighborhood" meme, but I ultimately decided not to because I'm paranoid about copyright stuff despite the fact that it's used all over the rest of YouTube with seemingly no consequences. Although I don't know if it simply stays up, but monetization is taken away. Even if I were to use it, I'm not sure how I would have inserted it into any videos other than as a simple non sequitur unrelated to anything else going on, but I'm not necessarily opposed to doing that anyways, of course.
Miss Granger, perhaps you'd grace the class by having a go at the exercise I've prepared.
Me? Oh, yes!
If you'll just step through this door, then...
I don't recall exactly why I threw this line out. It might have been due to the fact that it sounded a bit too nitpicky of a criticism. I think I was also worried that maybe this particular point I was trying to get across wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense, but reading it again, now it sort of sounds okay in that regard. I don't know why I thought it wouldn't make sense.
If you'll just step through this door, then...
At one point I started a new game of Pokemon First Generation, named my character Harry, had my starter Pokemon faint on purpose, and took a screenshot of a text box from my Game Boy emulator that read Harry blacked out. Back when I thought of this idea, I intended to stick it at the bottom of the video frame when Harry faints, from the presence of the Dementor near the end of my first episode in the Prisoner of Azkaban series. The only reason I even considered doing this in the first place was because I mentioned the Pokemon Ditto, suggesting that the thing outside the train may be that Pokemon instead of an actual Dementor in the same way that a Boggart could take the form of a Dementor. But I really only mentioned it twice in that whole episode, both times when Harry had already fainted. I could have just stuck the screenshot of the text box up there anyways, but without any proper setup it would have just looked like a totally random thing that I added to the video, which apparently I'm not totally against. I just can't decide if I like doing that or not, adding things out of the blue. The whole reason I suggested that the Dementor might have been a Boggart, or supposedly a Ditto, was because I made a comment after Harry had already fainted about how there was only a bit of mist and nothing was freezing, but there wasn't much time to really talk about that in between the train halting and the Dementor initially busting open the door, and I already had a bunch of other stuff I wanted to say already in that portion of the script, so in order to make it work, I would have had to have rewritten a lot of the last 2 minutes of the first episode, which I wasn't willing to do. Also, I realized that this would have looked better if the edges around the border of the text box were changed from white to transparent, but I never got that far with the idea before scrapping it. Sometimes I record my line, listen to it, and just think to myself, God, what was that? I'm the snitch, bitch! Let me try that again. While scriptwriting the second episode of The Prisoner of Azkaban, I was really struggling to find anything to say for several minutes of that video. In desperation, I came up with a long, rambling paragraph that was supposed to build up to a punchline, but I removed the whole thing because I not only found it to not be all that funny, but even cringeworthy. Since this text never made it into the final version of Episode 2's script, I never recorded myself reading it, but I had just thought of the deleted scenes video by around that time, so I saved the entirety of the quote-unquote joke. So here it is. I don't feel like verbally recreating what this could have been, I just think it's that bad, but I'll be quiet for a few seconds and let you pause the video if you want to read the whole thing. So here's the thing, the cake is a lie gag is one of the few infamous things to come out of the first Portal game. Not because it's inherently bad in any way, but because as a meme it became overused in many people's opinions. So my original line of thinking was to find a way to connect Harry Potter to Portal, ramble about some shit, and then near the end I would do a build-up to a punchline where people would assume that I would end by saying the cake is a lie. Of course, one of the core aspects of humor is saying or doing something that the audience doesn't expect, hence the alternative line of not doing a fucking cake joke instead. And maybe it would have gotten a few laughs, I don't know, but if I lead people into thinking that I'm going to have a punchline that's just an overused meme, and said people would find such a punchline to be less funny and more cringeworthy, then I suppose it's possible that they would be prematurely cringing near the end during the build-up to what they expect is the cake is a lie punchline. Even if they found the actual intended punchline somewhat funny, it wouldn't change the fact that they already possibly cringed in anticipation of something else, and I don't know if getting a small laugh from someone with the unexpected twist at the end would really make up for that. And if you wanted an alternative analogy, imagine if I'm playing a game that's not Dragon Ball Z. It's not related in any way because it's some other franchise with no crossovers, no connections whatsoever. But I make some weak connection between whatever I am actually playing in Dragon Ball Z, do some kind of a build-up where it seems like my punchline is, it's over 9,000 or some variation thereof, only to instead say something like, and no, I'm not doing an over 9,000 joke. I mean, if you're more familiar with the over 9,000 meme instead of the cake is a lie, hopefully that makes more sense. Although, in the case of the over 9,000 example, that's even worse because I still have to say the words anyways, because the name of the meme is also the meme itself. At least in my original idea, all I had to do was call it the cake joke, and I didn't need to insert the phrase the cake is a lie to explain that I didn't want to say the cake is a lie in the first place. And as for the rest of that paragraph, just trying to tie Portal in with Harry Potter minus the cake stuff, that might be okay in some ways. Like, I wouldn't necessarily be against doing something like that, although the way I did it here would have needed some work anyways. It wouldn't be my first choice when it comes to trying to overcome writer's block, though. Well, this isn't really a deleted scene, but I figure it's worth including in this video. The reason I have this audio at all is because I left Audacity recording while I played the actual Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game for several minutes, although I wasn't video recording the monitor at the time. So it was sort of an accident, but I thought it was funny, so I kept it anyways.
Go ahead, choose your lifeline. Alright, phone a friend it will be. We're gonna try to get my friend Harley on the line.
Hello, Jellyvision.
This is, well, my name's Regis.
Is this the pizza guy? I'll buzz you and I'll come and meet you.
This is Regis Philbin. I'm sorry, I dialed the wrong number.
Regis Philbin?
From Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, I know who you are.
Well, you never know.
Let me guess. No, wait.
I've got someone who would like your help with a question. See, he jumped right on that one. Well, you know the drill.
Here it is. Oh, I know this one, Regis. It's Rosie Perez. Answer B.
All right, so A is your answer.
No, I said B.
You say it's D?
B as in boy.
Hey, C it is.
No, B.
C, okay.
I said B.
Oh, D.
B.
Answer A.
B.
No second guessing.
I said B.
You're still unsure, huh?
B.
C.
B.
D.
I want to...
H.
H.
Z.
There's no Z. I want to answer B.
The Jellyvision, you can't control them.
I want to answer B.
Okay, so you choose B. Blame it on Jellyvision. My anonymous friend thinks it's B. Do you agree?
Well, there isn't much to this one. Yeah, but in my defense, it was a pain in the ass trying to do some of this stuff with one hand while holding my smartphone and recording video with the other hand. I don't know if this counts as a deleted scene exactly, because I only thought of this idea after rendering the final video and making sure it generally came out okay, and it wouldn't have been quite as practical to insert additional commentary into a purely improv video, but essentially the idea that occurred to me too late was to compare the paintings on the wall in this minigame with the botched restoration of this fresco of Jesus Christ that became a storm of internet mockery years ago. I never really came up with more of a joke for this bit other than to compare the badly restored fresco with the paintings on the wall, which might have been funny to some extent, but it also feels like I'm making fun of the ability to make background paintings using 8-bit NES graphics that aren't even quadrilateral from the player's viewpoint, due to the horizon line and vanishing point and whatever else there is to describe this point of view. I mean, you can only do so much with an NES. Also, aside from the orange hair, that dude in the painting on the right sorta reminds me of Martin Van Buren, the 8th President of the United States, and I would have pointed that out as well if I had tried to insert anything else into that portion of the Three Stooges video. Boob Wars. This is more than a deleted scene, it's an entire video idea that I rejected. What the hell was I thinking? It's a straight-up adult game I found out about a while ago with one of the most absurd plot premises I've ever heard of. It starts off with this music video intro, and basically all it is some supernatural event caused every single woman alive to either grow massive boobs or become virtually flat-chested, and those two groups formed different tribes or countries or something, and you play as a guy that has to fuck the leaders of both countries to bring world peace. I don't fucking know. And the fact that it's an adult game was really just a secondary problem. I can cut out the explicit stuff without too much trouble. The main issue I have is that this is primarily a visual novel, and I really didn't feel like reading the whole thing before doing a ton of editing, and I certainly wasn't going to narrate all this text either. The only other thing I can really mention is some sort of a mini-game where you draw cards, and basically that's how the battle system works. And yeah, that's about it. What a ridiculous idea. Okay, see this line? I have a text file full of random shit I can say that might be funny in certain contexts, but this doesn't feel like it's funny in any context, whether I'm yelling at one of the characters in a Harry Potter game or doing something else. It's just bad. It feels way too forced, and it sounds like it's trying way too hard to be edgy. I don't know why I ever thought I could ever use that. Yeah, okay, it's embarrassing. And I had also had a text file set aside called, quote, insert somewhere in first video, unquote. But this was back when I was unsure what my first video would even be, and when I finally did get around to the first episode of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for PC, I just kind of forgot about saying either of these two things, which is fine with me, neither of them were really all that important anyways. And yeah, that's all I have for this deleted scenes video, I guess.